I changed up the screen here.
All right, we're live. 2021, the first show of 2021.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Welcome to the first Frequency Control Show live stream, man, of the new year.
Yeah.
Super excited, fully stride. Yeah, and we're really excited about keeping this flowing into the new year. Me and Rob have a thing where we start bullshitting before we start. And I'm just like, let's just go, and then I completely forgot.
All the good nuggets are in that conversation before we hit the stream. You know, like the good conversation is like we're exhausted with the talk, and it's like, okay, let's go live. and a lot of energy is in that beginning conversation before we go, like a warm up conversation. But really, there's so many gems and just the warm up. It's kind of like, dude, why are these people not hearing this portion of the conversation? You know.
Yeah, because when we get set into talking, we get set into what we're feeling, what we're talking about. We were just really talking about setting goals, man, for the new year, and I'm really excited because this last year ended with a lot of stuff coming in, along the path, and then really being able to define my next logical step towards my chief aim a little further. Not that what I was doing, what I was really working on is still kind of down the road stuff, but now some of the stuff that Robert's been into, and then the homie jumped on was in as well. Phenom, shout out to Phenom, man, and it's just really exciting how the year ended and how these podcasts. These how important they are, man, because last week we had our first millionaire on our podcast, man, and it really solidified for myself. It took me a couple of days to even for this to register. Like, it solidified the material for me, man, to have somebody on talking about how he got on with somebody that's super successful. That's like, yes, this law of attraction in your positive thinking and your mindset is real business. And that was super exciting. And it just made me even more like, okay, so it's just that much more to dive into the material further. So I've been like really setting my mornings up, doing my daily takeoff checklist, really defining my chief aim for my new goals that I just really figured out what my next logical step should be. But also, I've also noticed that I've been getting really caught up in the vehicle, man, and caught up in how I'm going to do what I want instead of really focusing on the feeling of what I want, and that's, so I've just kind of changed up some things a little bit, not stopping any action, of course, but really focusing on what I'm focusing on most of the time. I believe the myth is you have to work hard to achieve your things. And yes, you do to a point. But just after this last week's meeting is so much more that it is, man, 99.9% of this is what are you thinking? What are you throwing out there most of the time? And just having the guy on last week just really solidified the material, man, and what we've been studying, and and the research we've done on our own after getting the material, not to mention the implementation of applying these things. It's just really exciting, man. So to now have 2021 and having the New Year's and being able to chill and just really focus on the goals that were set, and just knowing that this material is real successful people are doing it, which is obvious, but it's nice to, have that realness of a guy on a podcast talking about it, on our podcast talking about it, and just, I don't know, man, it kind of put a change in me,
Yeah, it was pretty eye-opening. It was pretty cool to just kind of just see the evolution of this show already, and kind of like you can start seeing how things just start to take its shape and form and start to evolve in front of your eyes, and you're not even doing any different work. And I am a proponent of mindset, but I think if it's 99.9%, that 0.01% takes fucking 16 hours a day to get done. So don't think that you're sitting around for 99.9% of your day thinking. That amount of time still takes 16 hours a day. Anybody who's mastered anything or done anything has spent Thomas Edison didn't do 1,000 experiments on the light bulb in his mind. He physically did these things. It took him staying up all night, but sure, mindset is the first, and it's cart before the horse. So if you try to go for a goal and you don't have the right mindset, it's like going into a game and thinking you're going to lose, right? You got to have the mindset first, but don't get it twisted. That 0.01% looks like 16 hours a day if you're going to accomplish anything. The battle is not just in your mind. People go, well, Michael Jordan shot 1,000 shots a day in his head first, and it's like, yeah, but he also shot 3,000 a day physically. So let's not get it twisted. There's that portion, and I think that, like, for me, with that, the mindset being correct, seeing things like this start to take shape and form from trusting the process. Funny, from the last podcast, he said the book Mastery. I went and got that book, and I've been listening to it, and it's great. I mean, it talks about, like, trust the process, keep doing the work every day, and you have to have a great mindset to help you keep doing the work, right? And it's like you're doing the reps, you're doing bench press. If you're like going to go like for the next rep, and you go, you know what, I quit, it won't even come off your chest. But if you're going to, like, I'm going for this, as soon as you give up in your mind, your body physically can't take another move, not even an inch. You know what I mean? You just made your mind up that you're not going to do it. But that book of Mastery is like, trust the process. That process is mental, mindset, and physical as well. And it's like trust the process. Will and I show up every. We're not sitting there thinking about a show. We actually have to get off our ass, turn these things on, and have a show to have a show. There's some form of action happening. But it's the mindset that makes sure we show up, and we are here. And there's something to be said about, from that book Mastery, was trust the process. And so we did. We didn't know what this podcast would do, and we didn't have a great idea of how it was going to happen. We were just going to capture some conversations and just go through the motions and trust the process. And already we've had 2 different guests on our podcast. It was a great thing to explain to Roberto, who was a person who we started doing this with, and he's busy doing whatever else he's doing, but he's not on here anymore. But at the same time, explaining to him all the stuff that's coming with the podcast, and how, his mindset was like, yeah, you guys are going to kill it on that thing. It's going to be amazing, but it's keeping going, doing the process, trust the process, and watch those things happen, to where your New Year's, your 2021, whatever that looks like, is a great thing. It's like if you're starting now, start a process, whatever that process is. Start it with mindset first, and then figure out your time, adjust your day to support whatever that is. Have a plan, next logical steps, and achieve it. For instance, me, I built the vehicle, and now it's time to go race it for 2021. You know, it's like time to turn the bitch on and start driving it. And what does that look like by 2022 if we're counting in years, right? But really, we're doing this for our whole life. We're not doing this. There's no timestamp on this. This isn't, I want to be doing this by 45, or I want to do this by 53, or I want to do, there is no timestamp. This is what you want to do for your whole life, whatever it is you're doing, right? So just start going through the process. And that trust the process thing was a big eye opener for me. Just like trusting that. And with this frequency control show, that's like a big example of, we just went through the motions, and then all of a sudden I just show up to the podcast and Will's like, hey, I got 5 guests, or, you know, including ourselves, whatever. But the point is 3 additional people that'll show up, you know, and it turned out how it turned out. And it's so cool. You're like, dude, this shit is just evolving. And so just to let you guys know, trust in the process, just doing it. And guess what happened? I didn't call this guy to come on the show, who happens to be operating a multi-million-dollar business, right? I didn't even try. We have a show, and then somebody showed up. The universe brought it to us. Will didn't go, hey, I'm trying to find guests. Do you know anyone? I want to have 5 guests. He just has a show, and then all of a sudden, people come, they gravitate. And it's just like, same thing with whatever you're going for, doing a process, trusting that process, and watch these things show up in front of you. You know what I mean? Yeah, this last podcast was a big deal. I mean, we had a great guest on. I mean, he spoke the whole time, you know, and we were just like students, just paying attention. You know what I mean?
100%. So I agree, paying attention to the path. Now I would say for myself, you know, and the awakening of last week's podcast, you know, and our conversation afterwards, I was able to redefine my chief game. Try to, you know, put it in my own thing for when, you know, for what's coming. But, you know,
hey, everything can be modified and done and articulated better, because this information is only going to a small percentage of people. So there is stuff that needs to be done. They have a version of the Old Testament to the New Testament. They have got rewritings of it, so it's easily digest. So you modifying and making it better, it's a dinosaur, right? And now you're making it better and re-identifying and doing it. It's just like Lamborghini went to Ferrari and said to Enzo Ferrari, hey, I want to work for you. And he said, you'll never work for me. You'll never build a Ferrari. You'll never build a car. He went and built Lamborghini. You know what I mean? So things can always be done better and made better. So and that's what you're doing by doing it, you know, with the Chief Game, you know, like reworking it to where people can make it their own. And that's so important to what we're doing, you know?
Yeah, it's just challenging though. I want to revert back to what I've been studying the past three years. But hey, after defining my chief game and, you know, my next logical action steps to actually get it, you know, that's what I want to get on is that is my how. How I'm going to achieve it is clearly defining, you know, possible avenues for it and going for it, which I have. But now, like Robert has mentioned, now that I've taken action and I've started down the process of what I can see me being able to achieve my chief game, then, you know, now pay attention to what starts coming in along the path of, you know, what it would feel like when I actually do achieve it, or, you know, feeling like I've already achieved it, right? Like knowing what I want, what it would feel like to get what I want, you know, to draw that in, and what would that life be like? What would it feel like? Concentrate on that, and then the path, you know, because here's here's the thing that really resonates with me and everything I've studied as well is we have a fucking radar screen, man. So I figure out enough of the how to start taking some action, and then pay attention to what comes in, because I think that this is how I'm going to achieve what I want. But what I don't know is something could come along the path that changes it, and that's how it actually happens. That's what I'm talking about, you know. But yes, I think of enough of the how I'm going to get there to be able to take some sort of action to get there, because that's what I can see it happening. And then pay attention to what happens on the path in case something comes in that boom, and it happens tomorrow, and or you know what I mean? You know, exactly like Robert was saying, do what you think you need to do to get there, but pay attention to stuff coming in, because you don't ultimately know the correct path to get to what you want.
I think
That's what I want to get on.
as a flaw, and to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, is a lot of people are so busy with the mindset of everything and how you're overthinking it. And if you're thinking about how all the time, you're paralyzed by the how. And you're sitting there thinking of how the fuck this is going to work. Stop it. Just start going and doing it. I don't know how this podcast or show or whatever the fuck it's going to be is going to play out. I'm just going to keep showing up and keep putting in that work. And
see
it will turn into what it turns into. It's probably the most.
We already had a first millionaire on here, man. Now where's it gonna go from that? Will Smith wants to get in. You know what I mean? Denzel Washington wants to chime in.
It's been the most organic thing for me. Because, like, for instance, Will wanted to have, say, 70 people on and have, like, this big powwow, and I didn't want that. But at the same time, I didn't veto it. I didn't say, no, not happening. I just said, you know what? Whatever. It's kind of like the Jesus grab the wheel thing. Like, I don't know. He may be right. I may be wrong. I don't know. So how can I make a decision if I don't really know how? I can't stay firm on a decision and say, this is how, if I don't know. So Will's the one with the idea, fuck it, let's roll. And by doing that, it's freed it up to be more organic and just take its path and do what it's going to do. And it's been the most organic thing and has had the most progression of anything I've ever done from a growth standpoint. Same thing with, like, making beats. I just made beats and I didn't know how. And then next thing you know, I'm working with Snoop Dogg and Daz and Kuro. Like, it just... They came to me. I didn't go outside of my basement. All of a sudden, somebody handed me a phone, and it was Snoop Dogg's uncle.
Work.
No joke. And I'm at my job, and they're like, "Please talk to me." And I said, "Hell no, no."
Job, man. And you cannot. That is some magical shit, man. Yeah, if that is the universe, just like go the fuck up. And God and everything.
But again, I think I'm also a proponent of it's funny how lucky I am. The harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. You know, so it's like none of this shit is like luck. Like the harder I work, the luckier I get. So you're not just sitting there not working for it and then hoping to get lucky. It's like work your ass off. That's when preparedness meets opportunity. That's luck. You know what I mean? So it's but it's a big deal. Like when you just trust the process and you don't put so much weight on how it is formed and how it is delivered, I really slowed my progression with Snoop Dogg by trying to manipulate and navigate it and make it work the way I wanted it to work for me, as opposed to going with the flow like water would, right? But eventually water erodes and forms it the way it wants. But it goes with the flow of wherever it needs to go, the least past the resistance. But eventually it erodes and forms it the way it wants, and then you have the Grand Canyon. You know, so like, but it started out at wherever it just went with it. Didn't say, no, I want to carve a big fucking gap and the Grand Canyon and make it the Grand Canyon. It just went where it went. And so if you move like water, shit will fucking open up for you like the Grand Canyon, you know. And that's all my shit, by the way. But my thing is that's how this podcast has been. It's like, stop overthinking the how. Stop it. Just think of like some inkling of an idea and roll with it, and things will start to happen. You know, that's all you can do. And a lot of people overthink it, and they're saying, I got to get my mindset right. I got my dream board. I'm going to do this. I got to think, and then I got to figure it out. And then meanwhile, what have you put out there that has legs in the universe? Nothing other than your thoughts. You've got to start now acting on your thoughts. It's like me as a kid. I grew up in the church as a kid, right? I always told, when I speak to God, right? Like not to get all churchy on you guys, but like when I would talk to God, I would always say, I was never a kid who said, I want $1 million, please give it to me. I never asked for a handout my whole life, right? Other than when I was living house to house, couch to couch, clearly I was asking for a handout, please let me stay here. But I always told the Lord, I always said, you know, God, Jesus, however I was doing it, you know, speaking to the sky and of what I could possibly know as a mortal. And I said, I will always, if you'll know if I want it, because I'll meet you halfway. I will do the work so you'll know whether I deserve that or not. I'm not just like, oh, please let me win the lottery. I didn't go buy a lotto ticket. Like you got to at least do something, right? Or how do you expect to win the lottery? You never bought a ticket, you know? You got to show up for the game to even hope to win, right? So, but my thing is, I noticed, and I've been there, and that. So when I say things like, don't overthink it, I've been paralyzed by how, trying to figure out and strategize so much that I'm paralyzed. Don't be paralyzed by trying to strategize. You know what I mean? And so with this Frequency Control show, you'll see the growth as you people watching and see it grow and turn into something that's just crazy, because we're not putting it in a box. It's got legs and it's going to do whatever it needs to do. And because we're going to show up, trust the process, and watch it happen, you know? Think about it. In 1 year, that's 52 weeks from now, it'll be 2022. We'll have 52 shows out. I mean, who knows if we do 2 a week and we start ramping up. We don't know what we're going to do, right? As there becomes more demand for this information, and as Will finishes up he's working on products for people to help them apply this information into their life and make it real for them. How do you implement that in life? I have a great mindset, but what's my daily routine? I was just talking to my wife about, talking to yourself in affirmations and hearing your own voice tell yourself. And she's like, oh my God, that would be great. I need that, because sometimes I'm telling myself this and and we were just talking about it. And in fact, the show we were watching that triggered that conversation was Halt and Catch Fire. You watch on Netflix or whatever. And this guy has a disease, and he doesn't know what it is. It's in the early stages. Might have been MS before they knew what MS was in the 80s, right? It's based off of like computer programming show, right? And, he, as his stress heightens, all his onsets, like and all the side effects of whatever these diseases are, affect him and make him weird, where he blacks out a little bit or he can't see out of one eye. So he created a tape for a Walkman where he listens to him saying, it's going to be all right. You're going to be okay. Everything's cool. Chill out. It's a tape of him talking to himself. And he goes, and it calms me down. And I don't have any symptoms of whatever disease this is, right? He doesn't even know what it is. No one knows. But I thought, how crazy. And I told my wife about that. I said, dude, I was talking to Will, like, and I think Will did a whole recording for himself. But again, it goes back to she doesn't know how to apply that into her life because she doesn't have that tool. She doesn't know how to record herself to do that. And what would the format look like as a suggested format? Of course, you are doing it, make it your own. But that's the kind of stuff that Will would be adding to it. So we don't know what this is going to evolve into, to where Will spoke earlier about his daily checkoff sheet. And, of course, the entrepreneur in me wants to say, everybody, there's going to be this thing, buy it now. But, things that he's going to be giving out for tools that are going to be free, and
we're getting there.
Yeah, and it's a simple thing to add in your life, and then it'll be in the description. We don't know what it's going to evolve into, but we know that this is going to ramp up and turn into something else. But it's more and more, it's like, oh, Will, what do you do every day? Oh, I have this daily checkoff, boom, boom, boom. It's really helped me keep my mind straight, boom, boom. Man, I'm like, do you know how many people would just love that? I created a video. I just turned on my video camera on my phone, and I told myself, and I went through the daily affirmations, and I spoke those out loud to myself. And of course, customized it to me and my process and my journey. And listening to that in my car was madly powerful to believing in what I was going to do. You know what I mean? And just driving to myself, telling myself. So again, that is an evolution of this frequency control show and that type of information. And we don't know where it's going to go, but we just know. As we know, this whole show is about nothing but adding value. At its core, we don't care about money, none of that shit. It is at its core about delivering and giving back and just adding value. And that can be how to add this information in your life, because we think everybody on earth, every last human being should have a great mindset. And it's just nothing but adding value. This show is about nothing but how do we give back in this value that's helped us along our journey and help open up doors for us. And that is what we're doing. So we know as we keep adding this value, and you keep giving the value, and it could be in, hey, you guys, there's this form I use every day. Just click the link down below, download it. We may ask you for an email so that we can start sending you more great information. Because if you're somebody who wants that, hey, there's more information out there. And then you're going to want that kind of information, right? So we don't know where it evolves to. We don't even know that we're going to do that. But the point is being so open to all of these things happening. It's just all of a sudden this thing just opening up, because our main goal is to not overthink the how. It is just going to happen. You know what I mean? It is just going to happen. It may not evolve for 3 years. It may blow the fuck up in one. We know that 52 for sure, because we're not joking. Here we are a day late on Friday, but for Will and I, like Thanksgiving, we went 2 days early to make it happen. So there's 52, we know for sure, 52 videos a year, if not more, and who knows what it's going to be, because we don't know how. But we can just say, we know for a fact we commit to 52 videos a year. What does that look like 22 videos in? What is the evolution? Because I know 20, 30 in, or whatever we're in now at this point, now we're having guests on. I can't really even call like what this looks like 22 videos into 2021. It's going to be, or better yet, 21 videos into 2021. What does that look like? What does that look like? I don't know, but I'm just going to trust the process and just keep going, and keep going. And if your intention is good, our intention is to add nothing but value. Who knows, period. You're fulfilling everybody else, and maybe our needs are fulfilled in the process. We don't know, but our goal is not the end result. Our goal is to do the process and enjoy it. These are conversations we enjoy doing and having, to where we came on immediately going, hey man, I didn't even put a title out yet, I'll put one later, because it's like, man, we have these conversations. They're so valuable that it's like, we got to press stream on this shit, because
that's why I said this, man, because we were was gonna start rolling and then totally fucked it all up, but that's okay. But yeah, just I personally have no idea. I love these podcasts. Number one, I just love talking about this shit. Number one, I love talking about this stuff. Every week I can't wait to talk about it more. You know what I mean? Because I've been a fiend for this material a long time. So to have a podcast about it is just like a dream come true, to be honest. Just that much more I get to prepare, that much more I get to think about this stuff, that much more I get to think about how I'm applying it in my life. That much more I just, now I'm turning into my next logical step. That much more that it is going to get me to where I need to be right now. And that's super exciting.
It's massive. This, like, for instance, like with Will, like, I'm like hella crazy on my process, and I've been going ham on it, and Will is fairly early in it. You know what I mean? In the sense of the process of adding those actions. Sure, there's actions where you wrote a book in the past, and now where you're jumping on that, but it's like all of a sudden you see Will going through the process, and the more things he's built. Now we're at the end of a podcast last week, and we have a conversation after the podcast is over, and he's like reforming his next logical step. But it's all based on him trusting a process and actually doing these things that he already had the ball rolling on, right? If he had not had the ball rolling on, I would not even have recommended or been shooting the shit about like those things as the universe was forming our conversation, which was forming his next logical step. Because he's already got X, Y, Z in the works, and he's got this work, and then he states a goal to me. I want
this. I think clearly defined what I wanted for the first time in a long time. I clearly defined what I wanted, and that's maybe what topic should have been like, hey, look how important, maybe next week. There you go. But being able to clearly define what I want, I was able to change all of my shit up towards achieving it.
And
because I've been really concentrating on the how, but not really clearly defining what I want, but all the how of what I think I want. Just, you know what I mean? But clearly defining it, I've been able to now define how to get there more clear.
Some of that process though is not as, it's easier said than done to just clearly define your thing. What's helped Will clearly define what's helped Will clearly define what he's doing is kind of to start going on some of his ideas and going with them, even though they're not clearly defined. And then eventually you sit down and you go, okay, what do I want? Okay, well, here's what you have going on. Will states to me, a friend, hey, here's what I want in the next year. And we go through all the things he's been doing the process on, and we weed them and say, hey, these things need to be moved. And if you're wanting this thing you're already doing will help you get there. Let's double down on that. And
without even finding what I want. But it all came together, man. Like, yes, this is what I want. And I've already been doing the things to get there before I knew what I really wanted.
But by having some form of stuff done, it's like building up clay.
Yeah.
You can now shape it the way you need it to be shaped. But if you don't start doing something, you won't have anything to really work with to mold. And it's the same thing with me. I've been making beats for God knows how long, right? Rapping first, making beats, doing whatever. Worked with Snoop, worked with Daz Corrupt, been on stages. Will's been on stage with me, backstage with me. But didn't know clearly. Am I supposed to do a rap album still? Am I kind of producing? I got these other guys that are gospel group. What is it I'm doing? None of it's clearly defined. And then I get into this information, and then it's like, okay, I got to clearly define what I want. And I couldn't. So I just kept going and doing something. And as I kept doing something, I was able to go, okay, I have enough of something to mold and go, this is what I want. So you kind of got to walk down the road a little bit to almost decide where you decide your journey needs to go next, as far as you can see, at least. Like you're looking for a store and you're in the middle of a neighborhood. Okay. You're looking for a store right now because you think you're kind of thirsty. And you're like, okay, you can't really strategize. You need to have more information. And by doing the process and walking a little bit further, things start to take shape and you start to see new roads and new things and go, oh, that looks like a city complex over there. This looks like it turns into fields off to the left. I'm going to go towards the city. And as you walk towards the city, it's now shaping in real time as to what the fuck your next move is, what you're going to do. Maybe what you actually want. Maybe you didn't want to go to that store. You were originally wanting a corn dog from the fucking 7-Eleven, but then there's a Winco over there, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go get some food, groceries, and make some dinner. It now shapes and then it is very specific to what you want, but you have to do some walking first and get out of the neighborhood for a second, right? Because you can't see over the houses. Get down and get on a main street, and then all of a sudden you look at fields over there, and I'm trying to get towards the city because I know kind of what I want. And as I walk towards that, it starts to shape in front of me. That analogy is and a metaphor in a sense, for lack of better terminology, is walking a little bit is doing the process a little bit more on what you know now. What do you know now? What do you know how to do now? You kind of know in a vague, weird sense of what you want to do. If you kind of know, I kind of like acting. Cool. Start writing something. Start practicing acting. Start YouTubing. And next thing you'll stumble upon a YouTube video that says, hey, in the link in the description, I have a whole class and a course. And then I'll also give you a list of people to start going and auditioning for. But it starts with taking a little bit of, process. For me, it was start making some beats, start doing the stuff. And it started forming for me and starting taking shape on its own. But whatever it is you want, you might not be very laser focused on a specific way you're going, but just start walking through the neighborhood, start going down, find a main road. Just start the process. And the key piece is just start the process, because you're not just going to be there and know, or that's a slap in the face to anybody and everybody who's ever mastered something or been great at anything that you thought they just fucking dropped in their lap. They all had to figure out, finally get there, and then commit to going fucking 17 hours a day on it, right? It's not just going to drop in your lap. You're going to know what you want to do. You're going to be able to listen to this stuff and then be like, here it is, right on, served on a silver platter for me. It's easy as cheese. No, it's going to start out with uncertainty, not knowing, taking yourself down the path, and then that path may shape itself into something else. How it turned into books and shit for Will. It started out with beats and, beatboxing at first. You know what I mean? And is kind of turning back to beats too, and kind of growing into more than that, to where all encompassing all of his skill sets he's grown over the years, right? It's a bigger freaking umbrella, same thing with me. It starts with rap, again it goes to beats, and now I'm working on an album here in the next week, and I'll be featured on it a few times, and next thing you know, I'm back in the booth again doing what originally I started this whole freaking thing for in the first place, right? But it's really just start walking down that street through the neighborhood, and next thing you know, you're going to be a lot closer to where you're trying to figure out you need to be, and the how will start happening. You know what I mean?
This is why it's so important, man, that honestly, right, the how is completely irrelevant. How you're going to get what you want is completely irrelevant. You just have to figure out enough of the how that makes sense to you that you can achieve it. And hopefully it's what you've been doing, right? And hopefully obviously it's going to be what you like to do, or it's not going to work for you, right? But you figure out enough of the how that you can believe, I can achieve it by doing this. Knowing, though, that that might not be what gets you there, but you have to do enough of the how. You have to figure out enough of the how just to be able to take the proper action for your path to be created and you to be on it. For other shit now, since you've been concentrating on it, thinking about it all the time, you've been obsessed with it. I have, by figuring out my chief game and what I'm trying to achieve. And then stuff's going to start coming along the path, and you never know where it might steer you down. That is the actual way you achieved it. You know what I mean? That's really super exciting, but you have to start something.
Like
you have to start
for Will, he
the path rolling.
Will has a place he wants to.
Not even realizing how important it is.
Will has a place he wants to be, with some goals and some a financial place he wants to be at. Not realizing that getting his mind ready, the tools he made for himself to get his mind ready to do something else that would make money. The thing that he wanted to do to make money isn't even the thing that gets him there. It's the tools he made for himself to get prepped to do that turn into the vehicle that actually helps him be where he wants to be for the next near future. It's you can't really.
By the way, I documented it from the moment I made the decision, and then the steps I've taken. Of how I could, that makes the logical sense, things I should probably be doing instead of these other things, right? Although, finishing something I've already started is really important to me, and I will do it. But after last week, it's almost like, if I really want to achieve this, then why would I do anything else but the obvious to make sure, the obvious, even though it might even be something completely different. But I'm like, man, I will still finish what I've started out that I thought I really needed to finish. I will still finish. But I'm also know how this material works, and I'm going to focus and double down on what would make more logical sense of working out quicker without giving up on it. You know what I mean?
Roberto and I talked about this exact thing last night, and how your situation is much like mine, where I know mine was the funnel I'm working on, but I chose to finish a video or 3 first before I did it. But what I did do, and something I think you could do, and I recommend, is that this thing you're doing is just for the sake of saying, I'm not going to break the promise to myself and change up every time it gets hard.
The momentum.
Every time it gets like somewhere, I have a new idea of something else, and then it kind of switches, and eventually 10 years down the road, I kept switching so many times, I never finished anything. But it's deliberate, but deliberate with intense urgency. Like I did those videos. I was like dead set. Roberto set a date that he needed that goal to be completed on. And I was like, first, like, you're going to write a goal for me, man? What the fuck? But I said, you know what? That sounds good. I'm going to go ham on it because I know it's slowing down my thing that is going to get me where I'm trying to be, right? Because my chief aim was to be living off this other thing, right? And so you're taking me away from my chief aim by me doing this other thing that is a longer game for me. It's broader. And so I vigorously finished so that I could get on this and finish this. And it's a big thing, but you just don't know how that's all going to evolve. You just, like, for you, it's evolving and changing, and it's just like the more you do, the more you're walking, the more shit's just happening. It starts to be layers, right? But
but then the homie just shows up and happens to have the same material you're working on. Like, it's almost like how the comic book shit with the homie happened who made a comment the day after we had the conversation. Well, I guess I'm going to write a comic book. Well, I guess I'm going to concentrate on this type of, thing we're doing here, because how's the homie just going to come in and just be like, Wing.
Some of that stuff works out weird. Some of that unexplainable stuff works out weird. Like, you know, I remember having a guitarist come to my house. He was a beast, and we were vibing on that. And he was like, "Hey, so we're done with the session. Like, what else are you into?" "Oh, I like to draw." "Oh, really? Like, what kind of art?" I'm like, "Well, it ain't like landscapes and deers and shit. It's pretty childish." He goes, "Oh, I'm an artist too." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you probably are like doing realistic stuff and stuff that people will be like, right on." And he goes, "No, what is it?" And I finally tell him comic books. You know what I mean? He goes, "No way." He happens to be a color artist for comic books, ends up working for Image Comics and Marvel and all these other things. And I'm like, "No way. I actually know a guy, and I happen to be drawing comic books my whole life." It was the craziest thing. You know what I mean? Like to meet somebody, and it just, you know, you end up doing, we end up collaborating, whatever. But again, it's start the process. Things evolve and change in front of you as you're doing them, but you have to find something, and that thing might not be the definite thing you're going to finish doing, but start it. If you don't start anything, nothing's going to happen for you. You got to start somewhere. You got to start doing something. You know what I mean? You can't just sit there and hem and haw on your mindset and strategize all day. At some point, it's got to go down, you know? So you got to get out there and do it, you know? But it's going to be interesting. And for 2021, to kind of piggyback on the fact that that's where we're at right now, the first day of the year, and most people are setting their goals. For me, mine was to lose New Year's resolution, like just to make them for the freaking sake of doing an arbitrary thing, was like, well, I'm overweight. I need to lose some weight. I'm not feeling as healthy as I should. I need to lose some weight. And it's, my wife goes, "Yeah, New Year's, we're gonna." And I said, "No, why would we wait till New Year's to start this? We start now." And so by New Year's, I lost 5 pounds. You know what I mean? So it's just like, let's start now. Why would we wait till a day? Let's just start doing something, right? But it's for anybody doing anything now, or if you haven't started yet, start now. And just like I did the last 7 months, or actually I really working with an artist and all that stuff. I've worked months prior, it's probably the whole year. But really vigorously and very purposeful in the last 7-8 months, since April 30th to the day, it's turned into like, I built the car in 7 months that I'm going to drive. So it's like, I built that, and then now this next year is going to be really beating that drum. But first, start something. Do something, start it, have a deadline, and finish it, you know? And that will evolve into something, you know, whatever that is. It could just, you know, evolve into your next decision, for all you know, and that could be as far as that goes. But start delivering on your promises to yourself for 2021. You know what I mean? And hell, if you don't do it this year, there is next year. And if you don't do it that year, there is the next year. It's just never too late to start. You know what I mean? Start. Most people would have counted me out already. I fucked around with Snoop, had a kid. 8 years went by, I didn't do shit. You know, and people say, "Oh, you ain't got." Well, I guarantee in the next year you're going to see some major crazy shit. I just built the car, and guarantee you're going to see me drive that bitch. You know, it's the craziest thing. You know, even like this, there's a platform now for me to even say this stuff. You know what I mean? To even talk. You know, more and more I get on like Facebook and look at it and go, man, this is like a dead ghost town. What's going on here? It's like a bunch of bum ass memes and the occasional, "Oh, there's my buddy Sparky. He likes the picture of my kids." Right on. Like, it's like, I went through, deleted like 200 people, like, because they were like, never liked anything. And then to have a platform like this, it's like, it's now changed to where you have someone you can tell whatever it is you feel to, and you just don't know. My point is, do something. 2021, do something. And start something. And just start. And there are uncertainties there, the lack of focus there. Guaranteed, I got this information and I could not figure out what the fuck angle and how it was going to work out for the life of me. And so it paralyzed me for probably another year. And it wasn't until I finally kept going and doing enough of doing something that I started to have more meat to kind of be able to figure out and carve out and figure out what I'm working with, But you just got to start walking down that road. Just start walking and, you'll figure it out. You'll figure your path out. But you won't know which route you're going to take unless you start walking down a path.
See, I use the same tool because I too was thinking, okay, New Year's is coming. That's what I'm going to start this. That's what I'm going to start the new action. And I'm like, why would I wait? So I already started building it. I already I already did a daily takeoff checklist, not even knowing why I did it. I already did it. You know what I mean? And so I already started building it. I already started creating what it looks like. It's already dope. Some of the options. It's just it's so I already started. So when New Year's came, I've already started the momentum. And not to mention the getting in this shape thing. I've been like on a little juice diet here and not eating after 3 and really challenging myself and pushing myself and, already down 30 pounds from this time last year, and 15 since I actually started coming into the new year. So I know by the end of the year, it's going to be a whole new, everything's going to be different and new and exciting. I'm going to be new and exciting to myself. Looking at myself, I'm going to be more excited about myself and wanting to be more out there and in the open for what we're doing. You know what I mean? This podcast has helped us realize we can be in the open, show our faces, and it's okay. And I just happen to be on material I love to talk about, so I don't sit here like a dumbass. No, let's talk about it. Shoot, because this is literally taking over my entire life, and the one really way that I feel like I can help other people. This is how much this material has meant to me. It's not only changed me, but it's really brought an avenue to me that I could do something special for other people too. And that's what life's really about, man, is, what can you leave for other people and your legacy, and how can you help, and how can you touch somebody else? How can you bring someone else? How can you reach back and pull someone else up? Those are the things you're going to be remembered for, what matters the most. And so to have that type of platform, to have that type of a platform, man, to really be able to, turn up the enthusiasm, maybe get people excited about helping themselves. It's just really, man, I am so excited that 2020 is over. We are in a new year, and the path has already been implemented and set before the new year even came. So we're already into 2021, already winning. And so, shoot, catch us in a few months. Or sorry, ride with us for a few months. And I'm documenting as soon as I made the decision, what I've done to do it, and the whole process of how it actually happened compared to how I think it's going to happen. We'll see if they both line up. And I think it's going to be really good to be able to just also show the proof for myself and make the stuff even more presentable at the end.
Yeah, I think what's the coolest part about this podcast is it like a lot of people go, first you got to get the stripes. Like, why aren't these guys millionaires right now, physically, where you could see it in hand right now? Because you should be a millionaire before you talk this shit. What's so dope is this show is the documentary of the journey itself. So you will be able to see it firsthand. Like I said, I just built the vehicle. You're now going to get to see me race. You know what I mean? Like, and as Will goes, he's built a vehicle, and then he'll see him going, and then you start to see these wins, and you start to see what this information can do for your journey. And it's a big deal. And again, 2021, it's slippery slope to say, hey, I have a New Year's resolution. Why are you waiting for the new year? Start now. Because it's slippery slope. Because once you say, January 31st, I'm going to start working out. Well, guess what? It's always going to be some other day I will do this. Oh, January 1st.
Always tomorrow.
It's always another day. And when you say
It's always tomorrow.
By saying January 1st, I will start, you're saying some other day I will start. And so when January 1st happens and you don't do it, guess what happens? A week goes by and like, oh my God, I didn't even get on my thing. You know what? But next week, starting Monday, I know a lot of people do this the whole year. Starting Monday, I'm going to, and it only takes you 52 times for a year to go by. Next Monday, I'm going to start this. Okay, I did the first week. I cheated the first week, but you know what? Starting Monday, because I got that wedding I'm going to, and after that I'm going to be hungover, and then I'm going to want to have some cheap food, and then I'm going on that date, and then next thing, starting Monday, I'm gonna, and then something happens, you get upset, you go and have a beer, and then you start, and then starting next Monday, 52 times you do that every year. It's always going to be some other day I will start today, start now, start immediately, some angle of it. Even me, like, I got to do something, and it's like just open the laptop and edit a picture, edit a song, do like whatever it is, write some copy for. I'm doing a marketing thing, right? Do something. You know what I mean? And once that you do that little something, it's like just get to the gym and just get on the treadmill and just say I'm going to walk for 1 minute at a slow pace, and the next thing you're like, well, shit, I'm here. Okay, let's get it. But it's these little things, and like Phenom said in his podcast, so 2 podcasts ago, he said it best, lower the bar is almost counterintuitive as that sounds, to where it is impossible to fail. It is impossible to fail. Like, same thing with me. I used to be like, you know what, my goal today is just to turn these machines on. Just turn them on. And then evolve to, you know what, just 3 hours, you can't go piss, you can't do anything else. For 3 hours, you will work on music, and whatever the result of that time in here is what the result will be. But there must be a minimum of 3 hours. No sidetracking, no looking at phones, no nothing. And just those 3 hours. Don't do anything else. And you don't go downstairs, you don't go eat, you don't do all this extra crap for 3 hours. After that, you can open up and start, go use the restroom, go make a sandwich, whatever it is you decide you want to do, add in some other parts of the stuff you're doing, because your journey is going to be pretty broad in spectrum. But it started out with originally just turn on the machines, right? I have a studio, so just turn on the drum machines, turn on the computers, the monitor speakers, and just turn them on. You can't fail at that, right? And if it's you got to write an email, just write the header of the email, and then the rest is like, hey, you're here. The hardest part is getting to that point. But again, it's start now. I think the message for 2021 should be just start now. Nike couldn't have said it better. Just do it.
Here's I would say though is I think the start to 2021. If for those of you that haven't though, you have to clearly define what that something out is. I have been able, if you don't clearly define what that something is, then you're taking action for no reason.
At least my thing is, at least you're taking an action, because
you have to figure out what it is you want.
Most people will be sitting around. Most people don't know yet. Most people don't know yet. They have to walk down a path for a while. That's why I say walk through the neighborhood and get to a main street. Know you're trying to go to a store. So you may have a very vague idea. It might not be perfectly formed and shaped yet, but it can't be definite purpose before you've even taken a step. Sometimes you got to take a walk in that direction, and it evolves into whatever it is. You look at Jimmy Iovine. He's a major billionaire, Beats headphones and a big huge record label, and Interscope Records with Death Row and all the other guys. And he started out as a producer or a person cleaning the the trash cans and stuff in a studio. He kind of knew he wanted to do something in the studio. Started engineering. Next thing you know, he's producing bands. He produced Damn the Torpedoes, Stevie Nicks, and Fleetwood Mac, and all them. And then next thing you know, it evolves, and he's with Dr. Dre as the record label owner. And then he's headphone companies, and now he's doing what he wants to do. But you just gotta walk in that direction.
Yeah, I get it. That's great. And I've been through there. I've been like, I've been knowing enough of what I want to that I've been like kind of doing multiple things to get there, and then finally it's been a little clearer defined, you know. So I know a little bit more exactly what I need to do. But man, you have to try it, and if you don't know what you want, then how do you even know what you're shooting for?
Well,
You know,
you don't, because like what's funny is your chief aim right now, and I know, and I'm not even going to tell anybody what it is, but it is not what you are doing. It just evolved, but you had to start on the books and start on the comic books and start on the scripts and start on all these things you were doing. You find out the thing that's
my chief changed.
it changed, right? So
Yes.
if you're saying you know exactly what your definite purpose is and what you're trying to do first, it's like, well, not really. It's you've got to start walking first, and then it will evolve. Not everybody knows straight up exactly what they're going to do. Sometimes
No,
it's
I
going to
clearly
form.
defined something I wanted. And then I started down the path, and now it's kind of morphed into something else that makes a little bit more logical sense. And I've clearly been able to clearly define exactly what I want, you know, because it wasn't what I originally thought I wanted,
Right,
which is
because
because that shit's already been in motion for a long time.
right,
So I know what's going to happen, but now I've been able to clearly define, like, right now.
right. But we can honestly
What I
say
want.
we're telling these people to do that, but like think about it, your chief aim switches like underwear. It's like every week it's changing. So that's part of the process though. So some of these people are going to do it, but at least you were taking steps to figure out kind of what the hell you're trying to do. But I think what you're trying to say to re-articulate it is you defined, I think that's where you had something, and I finally get it now, is with the feeling. What does it make you feel like? What are you trying to, what is your goal with this? For instance, for Will, it would be X amount of dollars a month and to only do something, right? So, so, so that's a big deal, is to identify, what do I want to feel like? Do you want to be working for a company? Do you not? No, I want to be working. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. I don't want to work for anybody. I want to work for myself. I want to make $15,000 a month, and I want to make it all on passive income. Once you identify that, then start doing stuff that kind of might help add to that, and then you'll figure out the how. The how will happen. But I think that's what Will's trying to say, is really identify with what you want the result to be, not what you want the path to be. And we fail by saying, I want to get to the billion through music. Like, well, are you doing music because you want to love to do music, or are you trying to just get to the billion? So you want $1 billion. Okay, now figure out what you want to do and what you're willing to do to get to the billion, as opposed to, I want to be a superstar and make $1 billion. Because now you're stating the how I'm going to make $1 billion, and you're not smart enough to know how. So you're like, I want to pet dogs and make billions of dollars. Well, that can't always happen. So I got to identify what results you're looking for, and then all the other things will fall in place. And then you will also be able to identify, do I like producing music for millions? Yeah, I could do that forever, right? Or, it's to be a CEO of a company. Like, I don't want the corporate environment. I understand it still gets me to my goal. And then you can identify the how and adjust as needed. Whereas Will did that. That was the breakthrough with us. We had a conversation. He said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to not work for this company, and I want to make X amount of dollars, blah, blah, blah. And then we laid out all the things he has going on. And you move aside the things that are great things, but they're not going to help him get to his destination in the time period he set out. And then we could do it. But so I think identifying what you want to happen is reasonable to say you can clearly identify what you want. Most of you guys can say, I want to be a millionaire by 25. Okay, cool. So what do you have going on right now that you like to do and want to do, and how is it that you kind of have an idea of how you want to do it? And then start going that direction. It'll evolve, but you'll still know that I'm trying to get to 25 and $1 million, right? So I think that's the big piece. Most people cloud what they're doing with the how and what job they're doing to get there. You know what I mean? I want to make music, or I want to do books, or I want to be an actor and make $1 billion. It's like, identify the billion if you're unclear. But some people have it laid out, like a Jim Carrey. He's like, I want to be a comedian and an actor, and I want to make $12 million, whatever the amount was. He checked himself and says, this is the amount, this is what I want. Clearly defined and goes for it. But we don't know what his journey to get to knowing that definite was beforehand. Did it start when he was 12 years old and he built it up and was able to finally figure that out? We don't know what that looked like. And so it's hard to tell people, here's what that looks like. I'm saying it for me because it was hard for me to figure out the clarity, because it was so all jumbled in together. What I like to do musically and how much money I'm going to make. Because originally it was like, I want to be a rapper and make millions of dollars. That's what I want to do, you know? And so you have to weed it out and separate the two. Okay, $1 million in rapper can't be jumbled in together right away. How is it, what is it you want to feel like and do? So I think that was very powerful with what Will said. I never understood till I'm trying to explain it right now. What do you want to feel like? And I kept thinking, fuck you, fuck how I want to feel. I want to be a major producer. You know, like it's like, you don't take that away from me, you know, but what does it make you feel like? You have to identify what you're trying to feel like, and how does it feel? Oh, you want abundance? You want the millions? Do you want the Lamborghinis? Is that what moves you? Do you really want the Lamborghinis, or do you want to be accepted? Or do you want to prove to your old classmates you're the shit? What is it you're trying to do? So there's literally a process you're going to have to go through to clearly identify what you're trying to do, and then you will start to see yourself, all the walls fall down. Did they not for you, Will? As soon as we had that conversation last week, and the clarity's there, walls start falling down, and you start going, okay, now I know, I finally have accuracy and a target to just go sprint towards now. Whereas with me, I was making music and I don't know how it's going to work out, trying to figure out the how, which is why I never got there, instead of how I feel, what it is I truly want. And then once I separated and weeded all that shit and got clear view of what I'm trying to go for, man, it was off to the races after that. But there's a process you're going to go through. And that's what's going to be cool about the evolution of this freaking show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. These tools will start being provided to you. You're probably going to get a bunch of free freaking tools that'll help you to weed out this stuff and identify. That's really our goal, is like, are we gurus? Do we know everything? Can we tell you definitely what you need to do? No, we can't. Are we Tony Robbins and we know exactly what? No, we're not those people. We're not the gurus. We're not the guys that know shit. We just love to have great conversations about this information, and we apply it to our lofty, massive goals, right? But one thing we can offer is things that'll help you apply this in your life. And like this, to find the clarity and the definite purpose and exactly where you're trying to go, you're going to need tools. And that in itself is a process. There's a process before you even start the process of going towards what you want to do. You know, a race car driver can't just go like jumping in a car, I'm going to win the race. It's like, no, first they got to tune the car up, race a bunch of laps in it, figure out what the hell they're trying to do, build the car, decide, you know, like there's just so much to be done before you even get into the freaking cockpit and start racing. You know what I mean? There's just a lot to be done, and I think that's heavy, but you need to clearly define it. It's hard to explain and articulate how it is, and as you see this thing evolve, we'll have something for you to help do it, and stuff that we're using in our lives. You know what I mean? Because I can use something like that, you know. There were forms of it. You go in like Think and Grow Rich and these different books, and there is some form of something that kind of helps you, but it's having some sort of tool that says, I'm applying this to my life. I have a booklet right now that helps me mind dump figure out goals and do all that stuff. It's just this cool ass booklet, and it's really awesome. And I use it, and my wife, who doesn't always grasp exactly what I'm talking about, I show her the booklet, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" From goal setting to mindset to everything, and it's just got these 5 different pages that kind of repeat themselves as you go through. It's from a mind dump to goals to exactly what you're trying to do, to lay it all out, and that little tool helps me to apply that in my life, of what format I should put things in that'll help me grasp that thing for daily inspiration, daily focus, exactly what I'm trying to do, because you really break all this shit down, and it breaks down to seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, lifetimes. So, but it's huge. There's going to be a whole process behind clearly identifying what it is you're trying to do. But first, you got to figure out how it makes you feel. What do you want to feel like? How do you want to be looked at? How much hair do you have on your head? What shape are you in? There's just a lot to it. You know what I mean? And I had to go through it. It took me, I had this information, and it was failing at trying to do it, but really was winning at trying to do it. That it took me a year and a half to really figure it out. Even though somebody would said, "Rob, you had the most clear vision. I mean, you're producing for Snoop Dogg. You're fucking making beats. You have what how much more clear can you be?" But it was not clear. And it was writing it down, and writing it down, and doing it wrong, and wondering and second guessing myself. And that whole process, eventually, the more I wrote it down, the more I didn't get anywhere. And it wasn't until I started just saying, you know what? I have like 3 things I know I want to do, and I started doing them. But I wasn't clear. I said, okay, for arbitrary reasons, I want to be a music mogul, and I want to make $1 billion. It's arbitrary numbers. I'm throwing it up there because that's what they told me to do. But it wasn't until I started putting things in place and going through the processes of, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make all these beats, and I'm going to put this, and I'm going to start doing this because it's what I know, that it started to form and shape, and then I was able to have definite purpose. But it was a process in itself, a 1.5 year process just to identify it, and nothing started to move the needle until I started putting things in place and just walking through the neighborhood, because you can't know until you start doing something, You want to be a famous basketball player? Cool. Start shooting some shots. Start going to practice every day. And what does that start to look like? Start practicing. Shoot some free throws. Start getting out there doing that. And then it will evolve. You may realize through that process that you actually didn't want to do that. You want to be a coach. And you still have the same fame, stardom. You're still looked at from your community the same. And you still have the same amount of money. But go shoot the shots. Shooting the shots going, I'm not really good at executing the shot, but I'm good at explaining and understanding the game. Man, I should be a coach. Or you know what? I'm good at looking at talent and figuring out I should be an agent. And the same thing. But go shoot some shots first. It might not look like that when you get it all figured out, but you got to start putting some paint on the fucking canvas. Period. And that's a process in itself. And I firmly believe that. You're not just going to know. Will, you put paint on the canvas for fucking 50 years. You know what I mean? You've put paint on the canvas. That's why we were able to, only a week ago, clearly go, okay, now we're off to the races. It's a fucking process. And how long did you sit with this information for? And it did help you. And it did help you through situations for sure. But for goals and things you're trying to do, a clear thing, not just one piece, like say your book, right? But the kind of like getting where you need to be to really be like, okay, I got the fucking life by its balls, right? That's it's boot camp in itself. It's a whole process to even get there. You don't even get to go in the Army right away. You get to go to boot camp, get your ass kicked for a while.
Oh, it's been a long process. I think all this stuff has been coming in because of the amount of time being put into the things I like doing, right? You know what I mean? Anyways, and then, taking further steps to just keep doing those same things more often. and be able to maybe make a living off those things, But yeah,
and there's something to be said about, it's not because I want to do what I love and make a living off of it. That's great, but there's a reason you want to do what you love. And a lot of times that's because you have talent in that area, and that's something you're skilled at more. And that's what you want to do for a living. So it's not that you just want to have fun doing it. It's like you add value because you actually have a skill and like doing it enough to where you can actually master it and be good at it and provide some sort of value to someone else and then make a living and a life out of that. So there's something to be said about starting out with what do you love to do, because a lot of times you're probably kind of skilled at it because you love it. So you've taken the time to get good at it, and whatever that happens to be. But it's a process to figure it out. And I know as a guy, and I'm looking at my board here, my board happens to be 4 foot wide by 8 foot tall. Okay, a marker board, and it is just blown up with shit. Like I'm looking right now, 100 YouTube videos and channels by December 2019. That never happened. 100,000 annually in passive income. That's on its way. 100,000 in eBay sales, which is actually happening this year. So some of this stuff's happening. So it's funny to look at because I wrote that shit obviously months and months before December of 2019. Placement on a Drake or Kendrick or Schoolboy Q album or Snoop album in 6 months from August 21 of 2018. Okay, so it's so cool to see these things, and a lot of those didn't happen. Some are happening. An extra house by November 1st, and who knows what year because I didn't write it. 20K annually from Amazon merchandise. 20K annually from affiliate book. I just had all these things, right? And that's just one cube that's this big. And remember, I said it's 8 foot tall by 4 foot wide, and the whole thing is full of like a billion lists. What will I look like? How much income am I making? I'm making X amount of dollars by this time, having this placement. By 5-year plan, I'll be making $5 million, right? We're 2 years into it, and I'm not making $1 million yet. But it's a process, is what I'm trying to say. I had to go through all those exercises to get where I'm trying to do. What's cool is it's called soul searching. You're digging in yourself to really say and flesh out what the fuck you want, because you've got to be prepared for this journey of life. And it doesn't just go, I want to do this arbitrarily and I'm just going to pussyfoot right into the fucking, role of whatever that is. Like, no, you're going to have to really dig and figure it out. And some of that is you're not going to know, so you will have to just go in the direction you best know now. Like Will and I talk about it, it's like, I don't know because I can't see it yet, so I'm just going to walk, and eventually I'll be far enough and I'll see more. And it'll evolve.
Ready to fail too, because odds are you're probably going to fail. And you should be, even though technically there's no such thing as fail, but let's just roll with it. Failing is so important because you'll clearly define, maybe this isn't what I want. And guess what? That moment is the prime opportunity that a lot of people don't get. Because at that moment, when you know exactly what you don't want, now you are able to clearly define what you do want and start moving yourself in that direction. And that, my friends, is a very great place to be in.
Yeah, that I have to say, I used a knowing what I don't want tool to overcome friends, and I mean people I love more than God knows, man, and telling them no, because what they were offering me to do was something I don't want, and it didn't serve what I'm trying to do. Down to my wife wants this, and I had to. It was an easy decision for me. I know I don't want that. I know I don't want what she's trying to have me do. I know in my heart I have this one journey in life, and I don't want that. And nobody can steer me that way, right? But I had to be sure of myself to make that decision of what I didn't want. But again, it's a journey, and just there's a lot of journey to be said about finding that destination. Getting there is a whole nother thing. In fact, getting there is easier than figuring out what the fuck you want, because once you know what you want, getting there is easy, right? Once you're committed to something and going there, your fire and the action, that's where Will says the 99.9% is your mindset. Because I mean, in a sense, it's so fucking right, because it's like that mindset is you figuring out what you want and going through that process. And once you do that, this action is a breeze.
Once you
just happen.
Mention having the guy on our podcast last week, just to prove that everything I've been studying is the right shit to be studying. So therefore, we're going to turn it up a notch. We're going to turn it up a notch, because I can have faith, even more faith, knowing that it works. Not that, yes, I did. I did need that, because now that I've clearly defined what I want, and I know that this information is legit, even though I already believe it anyways, period. But just to have that solidification, that just to have it solidified like it was last week, just that much more now that, oh my goodness, the actions I'm taking are that much more pleasurable. I wake up in the morning, so I'm going through my daily, I can't even read through the daily takeoff checklist. I read through part of it, and then I'm pacing up and down my apartment my gosh.
You get too excited, because I
can't even
you're like, oh fuck, it's time to rip.
I can't finish it right now, because I get so pumped. I get so pumped at the Chief game, at my Chief game, that I'm like, oh my gosh, that the feeling is gonna be like, and then at some point I have to sit down and take my action steps, but it's just so.
But the visuals once you figure out what the visuals once you figure out what you're doing are so clear that when you try to go through that daily checkoff, it's like explosive, because you're not
I can't even finish it. This is so. I'm serious. I'm reading it, and I can't. Shoot, I can barely get through my dream, and I'm like, all of it's changed. It's not changed, but I've been thinking of more stuff, or even clearly writing it down even more. But yeah, it's pretty exciting to not even to get through it, because I am so pumped having defined something.
Yeah, my thing is
defining what I want. Because I've always had this, I've had things I've wanted, but to be able to define it clear, like this is some clear shit. And that has brought this change. And then with the last week's podcast, that has brought some amazing momentum. And like I said, again, not to be broken record, but not even being so excited at certain parts of my chat, I can't even get through it because I'm so pumped. And I'm pacing by myself. If someone were to be recording this shit, I'd be in a straitjacket and it's some padded walls, trying to do the same shit though. Fuck it, I'm gonna get out of this. You motherfuckers watch, right?
Yeah. It's what happens is people get confused about what they want because of what they want to do. And they think those are the same thing. It's what your result you're wanting, but people confuse it with what they want to do. And then when you confuse the two, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, and that might not be what the result is going to be. So it's funny. Like you finally figure out what you're wanting, and that's where the clarity happens, and you kind of go, okay. This is the freaking blueprint. And then the house starts figuring it out, and you're so pumped you can't get through a daily checkoff sheet, and you just start going. And the action is just happening. Sure, it's 16 hours a day, but it's so easy. So
crazy.
So if I could have one recommendation for anybody out there for 2021, it's go out and fail, because failing is truly winning, because once you fail, you kind of have a better idea of what you're trying to do. The reason I have
because you know exactly what you don't want to do,
right? And because I've got a successful eBay right now because it failed to do what I wanted it to do based on my random arbitrary expectation. So I set a bar this high because it didn't meet that. I thought it was failing, but really it so-called failed. I had to go get a job, but now I have a successful eBay because I failed. But that means really I won and I learned, because you learn from your failures, but your failures are actually wins. And so if I could recommend anything, go out and fail, because failing means you actually tried. You entered the race. You don't, until you go get in the race, you don't know how fast you can run and hey, I noticed you can't adjust and course correct to start winning and actually getting and receiving whatever it is you want from a feeling, vibe, abundance aspect, or whatever it is you're going for. I always talk money because that's usually what most people kind of gauge things by. It's not that the money drives you. I understand money makes a lot of things easier. Someone argued with me last night about it. It's not all about money. And I'm like, yeah, but your mother could be sick, but you'd be a lot better if your mother was sick and you had billions of dollars, right? As opposed to being broke as shit and your mother's sick, so I'm just saying, it helps, because now mom can have a great burial plot, or you could have got her the best medical care service she could possibly get under the sun. And, there's a lot to it. So, but it isn't about money, but a lot of times that's what people are gauging a lot of this stuff off of, and that's usually what is at the forefront of people's mind, and they think that's what's going to fix them. But the places with the least amount of money are the happiest and most content. But I would say, man, I really recommend go out, fail. Go out and just enter the race. And then keep going. Because if you keep going, you never fail, because you're still going. How are you failing? You think you fail because you're going to take a snapshot for that one failure. Say it's one race around the track, and you're like, oh, I failed at life. No, your life is your whole life. So go out and fail. You could have 10 failures and have one massive win. Nobody looks at a Bill Gates or a Jeff Bezos and looks at all the times they had something not work before they got it at that point. You look at a Jeff Bezos and he's got a spray painted sign up. Most people have said, I'm waiting to have enough money to properly market myself and have a bitchin' sign, neon, or whatever. This guy spray painted it on a banner and put it out there with spray paint, handwritten, looks like shit. Because he just said, I'm going to go fail. I'm going to enter the race. I'm going to start. You think of the first few computers with Apple. Fail, 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 fail. Bombed, spent millions of dollars, lost millions of dollars. It's a big thing. Go out and fail. Go out and try something. Don't just do regular shit. The book Mastery I'm reading, I recommend it to anybody. It's called Mastery, and it was recommended by the gentleman last week, Rob Lent. And I read it, and I have not done with it yet. So I have 14 fucking hours. But the thing is, and part of it talks about people who are rigid with their jobs and stick to one job. I'm going to get a 401k. I'm going to get my pension and stay the course. That's safe and predictable. And that's now your life. You just had a predictable life. That's cool if that makes you happy. But those people don't necessarily become masters at anything. Masters are people who went out and were more flexible about their life. Like okay, I didn't finish this job was not for me, I moved to this job, learned, and so you go learn from all these different jobs, and you're more flexible in your journey, and it's a little more risky, but you have a chance of becoming a master. But that means failing a bunch of times, going out there and going, yeah, I started out at this company. I had a company that's promising I could have been regional vice president by now. With this company, was moving up like a madman and hanging out with CEOs and all this bullshit. I chose to leave to start my own business because I know what I want. And all that information I learned is helping me to get to the mastery level. And it's being flexible. That's flexible, saying fuck it. He's in the safe. I'm outie. and going and starting a business and possibly falling flat on your face. You know what I mean? And so there's something to be said about 2021. Go and fail. Go fail, because if you don't even go out to fail, you'll never win. You've got to fail before you win. And if you're not willing to deal with the process of failing first, then shut the fuck up about ever winning. Michael Jordan didn't even make it on his high school team. So you have to understand that you have to fail first. Nobody just went out and won. You know what I mean? Unless you're like Kobe Bryant or some shit. But, you have to understand, Kobe Bryant, he's in the gym 2 hours practicing before the practice starts. And then after the practice ends, he stays 2 hours, right? I mean, people don't understand that, and that's all the fails. Then he gets to practice. He looks great, fails a bunch of times, and then it's time for the game. And he's done so much failing. He knows and he's adjusted, and now he's just smashing on the game. Like, how did he just, bam, nail that shot? It's like, because he shot it fucking 99 million times in practices and failing before he got there. Go fail, That's a massive thing. I've got 5 things going right now. And based on numbers, if 4 of them fail, fuck it, because I got 5. Because if 1 pops, then I'm good to go. You know what I mean? So go fail. I know I'm good.
I do want to back up that Kobe Bryant little message you said there. So the mindset of him getting up before everybody else, right? The mindset is he's up and he's working on his game while everyone else is still sleeping. So he is so far ahead of everybody else because he gets up here, everyone else is getting up here. So when you meet him in battle, what happens? You lose because he is already that far ahead of you. Even if they started getting up and working out at the same time, you still couldn't catch him. That is the mindset. He is doing more while everyone else is still sleeping. And now when you meet him in battle, you're going to fucking lose because he's that much more far ahead of you. Skill, talent, practice, situations, the mentality of the game. You know what I mean? So far ahead that even if you got up the same time he did, you'll still never catch him.
Because he has more failures under his belt. More failures help you win. And so he's in practice, and in practice, how many shots is he missing? Fail, 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 fail. Okay, he's dialed in. Now he goes to the game. He's dialed in. So he fails less in the game, hence he wins the game and has all these championship rings, right? Because he went out to fail more than everybody else. More practice means more failures. Because when you're practicing, and when I practice guitar, I'm not hitting the licks perfect. I'm failing all day. Oh, fuck. Couldn't get that chord just right. It sounds muted and screwed up. I'm failing more. Fail more. The more you fail, the more you win. Period. So go fucking fail. And again, anybody who's practicing more than the next guy is out there failing more. You're out there, let me get these fails out the fucking way so I can get some wins in this bitch. That's the thing. They're getting all the failures out of the way. Let me just keep fucking failing until I just can't help but win. And I have enough percentage of wins out there. You know what I mean? So it's a big deal, man. And I mean, I'm really into that. Like now I'm up to, I got 3 new books to learn Spanish, which I was like, shame on. So I'm all about winning. Like, I'm so resourceful. It's like, no matter what, you can't tell me shit. I need to learn to code a website or video game or whatever. I'm going to go fucking get a book and learn it. Learn it and then go do it and probably do it doper than anyone else. That's just how I am. And then I was like, oh yeah, if you're like that, Rob, how come you don't know how to speak Spanish fluently? You're fucking half your family's Spanish. In fact, I have more people on my Spanish side than I have on the other Irish, German mixture, God knows what. side than anything. And it's like immediately I pulled my car over and bought the Spanish book. Then I was like, you know what? Why the fuck don't you learn Russian? Why don't you learn Japanese? Why don't you know like fuck it? So I bought these 3 books. I'm like, okay, this year I'm gonna be learning this shit because I'm all about like I understand. I was explaining to my son the other day. Understand that you're going to be bad at something at first. You're gonna suck at first. Will knows, sucks at basketball at first, but keeps failing, and then eventually becomes where he's 360 dunking on people, you know, and he has a chance to play for the Yakima Sun Kings. That shit didn't happen. Him dreaming it up. How many days did you go and do nothing but play ball? Nothing but play ball. Every day. Running in a strength shoe. It says max fucking 1 mile. He's running 15 miles an hour.
I made the decision, and then I carried that motherfucker all the way out. And boy, it led to some amazing things.
Yeah, there's something to be said about
I wasn't even good. I wasn't even good, but I loved basketball that much. I'm gonna get good.
But nobody's just out the gate good at anything. I wasn't good at. I'm dope at dirt biking. I was never good at it at first. You know, like I sucked. I was started out at like 5 years old, and then eventually, after all these years, I was so dope. I didn't ride a bike for years. Brian Asher and I'm like, let's go ride some dirt bikes. They don't even know me to ride bikes. I hadn't ridden a bike in 5-6 years, you know, to where as far as they knew, and they never see me ride a bike. I go buy a dirt bike, go out and just smoke everybody. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, how'd you get good? And I'm like, well, I've been riding since I've been a little kid, you know, failing, falling down, hurting myself, pushing the bike 5 miles with broken clutch handles and shit up hills, and I'm only weighing $110. You know, like just years of failing. And like I said, I'm explaining to my son that you're always going to suck at something at first. And if you know you suck at something, you keep going, just know that you're going to get better. That and understanding that process of go do something. You're not going to be good at it at first. You're going to suck. You're going to fail. But by failing, and if you fall down and you get up and start again, you've won now. So it's the failure, fall, you get up and go again. Now you're winning. And every time you fall, you're that much closer to winning. And it's a win, really. It's the path to the win. You know what I mean? The failure is the path to the win as long as you keep going. And so you know, you get on the guitar, you're like, I can't even make my fingers do that. Hell no. And these strings are cutting the shit out of my fingers. No way. Well, today sucked, and tomorrow sucks, and the next day sucks, and the next day sucks, and then by the end of the week.
I remember teaching myself to ride the unicycle. I just wanted to ride the unicycle so bad. That's what I wanted to do, right? I got a unicycle. My parents got me one for Christmas. I am out here on the front lawn every day for like a month straight, right? Every day I'm backing up on a wood block and I'm pedaling down the front of the lawn for like a month straight every single day. My parents, I don't even know. They wouldn't even talk to me about it. They just let me do my thing as a kid. One day, I backed up and I fucking pedaled like 3-4 times and fell down. And then I didn't pedal like that again for 2 more weeks. After that, like, wait, come watch this shit. No, it was another 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, I am rolling down the street on a fucking unicycle. No hands, eating shit like, oh my God, this is great. If I get a big one that has a chain so I can stop pedaling, that would be better. But, you know, making the decision, I wanted to ride one so bad. I was out there while everyone else was asleep. I'm out there at nighttime because no one's watching me, right? I'm out there at nighttime pedaling down my front yard, you know, because if I fall in the grass, it's not like concrete yet, right? Because we'll wait we'll wait to hit the concrete so I can roll down some grass first, right? But the whole point of being there for months, every single day, man, and then riding halfway down the lawn and then not being able to do that again for 2 more weeks. And then in 2 more weeks, I am on concrete rolling down to the street. Man, just I don't know why I explained that. Robert inspired me to tell the story.
Well, the thing is,
what started? I don't know what was.
The point
Never,
is you never
always go, never quitting,
you never
man.
quit, because if you quit at any point in the time on the grass, the wood blocks and stuff, and if you quit at any of those times, that's when it becomes the failure. And if you didn't do it again, but because you saw it through.
Technically, I failed for a month and 2 weeks. Right? But it wasn't, man. And then to even like go halfway down the lawn and then not take another 2 pedals for 2 more weeks after that, man. And now I don't know if I can hop on a unicycle now. I'm at the practice, but to be able to just all of a sudden be like, yo, now watch this. And that feeling, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, sisters, watch this. And boom, Bill Jackson's gone down the road on the unicycle, right? Conquered what I wanted to do. Man, that type of shit is life-changing, man. And I'll forget about that type of stuff until right this moment.
But you have to look at that and then know that, and everything you do in your whole life.
With basketball, swimming, man.
And know that. And everything you do your whole life is, I know the process. I suck. I don't quit, therefore I win. And then I get at it.
The first time I experienced, I'll go ahead and tell this story too, is at the swimming pool, man. Yo, what up? What up, homie? Yeah, we at the swimming pool, man. And here I am, I'm swimming every single day, okay? Swimming. There is thunder and lightning, and Bill Jackson's the only kid in line. Swimming. And this is the first time I realized that I can be better at everyone else if I just do it more and want it more than everybody else, right? Kobe Bryant woke up early before everyone else because he wanted it more than everyone else. My daughter finally got it in her head that, I want to succeed in gymnastics. She was practicing cartwheels 11, 12 o'clock at night while everyone else was asleep. And she won most improved in gymnastics, her first experience doing a sport, and her first experience actually that she wasn't just amazing at everything she did from the get-go. Because up to that, she succeeded in everything she did from the jump. What up, the other little homie? What up? Hi. Oh my gosh. So just the point that you can do, man, nobody can tell you can't do it. Somebody try. I've never been really good at math, right? Somebody told me one day, because I'm doing tile work, you should go ahead. I was struggling with the layouts, because they're trying to teach me how to do stuff. And I was struggling with the layouts because of math. Man, on the way home, the guy literally telling me, this is the head foreman too, is like, you know what? You should probably go ahead and do something else because you're never going to succeed at doing tile. I looked at him, didn't even say a word. But let me tell you, man, he doesn't know about me. Okay? I know I'm a winner because I swam every day and I became the best at it. I sucked at basketball, let the entire town down. Basketball led me out to the city, right? Demo there going major, right? You know what I mean? Now you're gonna sit here and tell me I should probably go do something else because you can't do tile because you're not very good in math and you struggle with these layouts. You know what I said in my head? I was like, I'm gonna prove him wrong. And I started my own business for 8 years succeeding in installing ceramic tile and still a bonehead in math, but figured it out as long as I can read that tape measure, do some fractions, and have time to go home and work it out on paper, then I'm good. And totally succeeded at doing tile. Even now, I'm inspiring other people to do tile and explaining them how to do it. You know, I don't have the passion to do it anymore, but just the fact of, somebody literally telling me you should go do something else, like quit today. And I'm like, you don't know me. I know I can do something. I just have to keep. And yeah, I did a job for a homie and fucked it up. You want to talk about failures? A homie hooked me up with a job, man, because I thought I could do some tile work because I've been talking about it. Man, my hardy backer joints were all horrible. I had to learn. I messed up a job for a friend and still didn't quit. Messed up a friendship with him and still didn't quit. Because you know what? I knew I just loved doing tile. I had a passion for it, and I knew I could do it. And I stuck with it. I failed a lot doing tile now that I think about it. But still ended up being super successful at it, man. So nobody can tell me I can't do something. I'll look at your face and be like, check me later.
That's kind of the angle on the mastery book. It was like, or one of them at least, is failures and how like just keeping on going to become a master. It's like they talk about Mozart, and Mozart for 10 years didn't write anything that is now known, to be like he's a master. For 10 years he wrote all these pieces that nobody gave a shit about for 10 years. So at any point he stops in that 10 years, he's no longer the great Mozart. Right? That everybody knows Mozart. Oh my God, composing, he's a master. For 10 years, he never wrote anything.
Or the Beatles.
Yeah, they could have stopped early in their bars and never did anything. But the same thing. So Mozart, 10 years of being in the business, out there composing and doing work and doing it professionally, never wrote anything in those 10 years that was anything we know now. After the 10 years, he started to do it. But any time in those 10 years, you get to say, man, got complacent, said, you know what? I'm just not great at this. He wasn't sucking, but he at the same time wasn't the Mozart we would know. We wouldn't even know that guy's name. But 10 years of just not being great at it, not being a great for 10 years. So anybody he stops in those 10 years, he's no longer the Mozart, but it's the fact that he kept going.
Never giving up, period. And it's not an easy thing too, not to give up. It's not, for depending on who you are, I tend to just go, so I don't really have a problem with that. But
a lot of athletes, you notice, being winners because they know what it's like to not be good and then have the work ethic to follow it through. And you have to have a great mindset and believe in yourself to do that and overcome the pressures and being in the game. And you're put on the testing grounds. You're in a game. It's like you either suck or you don't. And so that system of practice, learning, sucking, getting better at something, then being tested in the game. You're tested, the stresses and overcoming all that to become good at something. That's what you see on these. They can take on a lot of other things because they understand they're going to suck at first, and they're going to have to just keep going until they're good.
Yeah, and I haven't, because I gave up basketball. I made the decision like, hey, man, at my age and where I grew up and didn't really have the talent of people that could have gotten me to the people I'm playing against, to really elevate my game to really where it needed to be to play at that level. It just wasn't there, man. So I had to make the choice to to say fuck it. But then I think, hey, I have a man, I only if, right? What if I chose to give it one more year, right? But I didn't. And now I have to eat that. And
it's the unknown. You don't know. You don't know now. And
that particular path is over, but you never know you never know
because you quit.
what might in from all that.
It only didn't happen, and it can be argued strongly. It only didn't happen because you quit, not because you were not able.
100% because I quit. And then I quit in my head because I thought I was not able. I did.
And then you look at a Muggsy Bogues, a Spud Webb. You're not tall enough to do this. You're not tall enough to play a guard. You're not tall enough to play a power forward. Like it's like you let somebody else marginalize you, and it's like.
No, I did it to myself. No one else told me that I should. No one else told me I should quit.
Well, they say you're too short to play that position. You should try being a point guard, right? So the thing is your position. You want to be down low. Like you're sure these guys are like 7-footers.
Yeah, but I was still successful, and I was still successful though in my size in that position
for sure
at a college level
for sure.
But I chose.
My point is, you
give up in my head.
You end up quitting, and it's only because you quit, not because they said you can't. It's because you quit. You could
actually, no one told me I could. Yes, I did have somebody telling me that got in my head. I did. I'll never Spencer. I have his bag with his phone number on it from 100 years ago. That probably doesn't work. But he broke it down to me, and because I listened to him, I decided to give it up. So that is what happened. But he was spitting what I thought at the time to be realistic because he happened to be the best player on the team and played the least amount because he practiced horrible. But he was the best guy on the team, most smartest guy on the team. He actually wanted to be president of the United States one day. Guy was smart. But he broke it down to me. He broke down my age, my game, and how I played. And he got in my head, and I decided I needed to give up and do something else.
And you, and you did. You are who you listen to, man. You got to be careful of people sabotaging your dream because they don't know you. And how can you let an outsider in telling you what you can do? Like, that is the most insane thing. That somebody would have that and you didn't just punch him in the fucking face immediately. Be like, man, who the fuck are you? You know, I mean, I don't.
At the time, it made sense. Now, if I would have known what I know now, I would have gave him another. I'd have been like, I'm going to prove someone else wrong and go to the NBA and boom, have, sign the basketball for him and have it hang in his mantle and shit like the tile guy, like the basketball guys, and nobody said anything about swimming. But I could have had another one, but I chose to fold and give up.
He set up the rules for you based on his system in his head. You're this old and this tall, and it's like, so you set that criteria because he would have been the same guy telling Spud Webb and Muggsy Bogues he couldn't make it.
Yeah, so I would have been like the best 6'3" center in NBA history.
Right.
Yeah, I would have been the best never seen before. No one at this guy's height was ever a dominating center.
Right.
I mean, unheard of. It would have been unheard of.
It's not unreasonable. You look at a Muggsy Bogues.
100%. And guess what? No one's been shortened in the paint and dominated. So, man, that could have been my story. But I gave up, man. And now I have to live with that. And that's always a tough. I don't talk about that very much, to be honest. I really don't. That's something I've definitely blocked out and does not reach the senses very often. let me tell you,
but you can
because
learn.
I talk
You can.
about my love.
You
I
can,
love some basketball.
Yeah, you can learn from that though. Of
Yes.
The parallel with that with my journey is you're there, somebody told you can't, and you quit. And by looking at your past mistake of quitting, knowing if I look back, if I wouldn't have listened to Homeboy and kept going, I'm pretty sure I would have been able to get this. Well, same thing with me. I'm at the Snoop Dogg level. I have a kid. I choose to go a corporate boss retail route, and thinking it's out of necessity or whatever I had to tell myself at the time, and stop really pursuing music, thinking I will get back on it when I find the time. But as a corporate job, there is no time because you're fucking working and you're a slave to that shit. You're working on your weekends. I'm on vacation in Hawaii with my laptop writing schedules and shit. It was bullshit. But the bottom line is I look back and go, man, if I would have stuck with it that whole time, I cannot deny that in 7-8 years, I wouldn't have been on tour with Snoop or doing something and producing on a higher level. I've already had the connections. And the same thing with you. You know, if you would have never quit, you would have been in the NBA. You know what I mean? That's all there is to it, you know? Look
100%.
Look
I
at
know I can.
Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman says, you know what, I'm going to go out for it. He didn't play in a college team and get on, you know? It's crazy. You just don't quit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's a dagger in the heart, man. You want to talk about and now it's like I can't even, it's hard to watch an NBA game. I've never even been to one ever in person because I have a problem with the NBA, and in my soul, like I should be there, right? How the fuck am I never gonna have gone to an NBA game, right? Because I just can't stomach it because it hurts too much because I know I could have been there. Yeah, this is stuff I don't ever talk about.
It's the same as Jess. She was number one on the West Coast in ice skating.
Dating ice. Oh my God, that's right.
She was with Tanya Harding and all them, and their same crew with the same coaches.
Oh my God, yes.
And was the top one, winning all the stuff. And now she can't watch ice skating either. Like,
she can't.
Doesn't want to watch it and doesn't want to talk about it. But
see what I mean? Because she knows.
Yeah, the only reason she's not a pro is because she chose to quit. She was the only amateur being able to do triples and shit. So like thick thighs and being able to boom.
That's a perfect guess.
Yeah, and then choosing not to. She's the reason she didn't. So you only fail if you give up. Is my point. You only fail at something if you give up, and that is a failure. You can use that to reflect on it, figure out stuff from it to start winning from that. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'll never. I will say I want to be in the opposite position of that now, and always keep going.
In the scheme of life, it's not a failure. It's a failure that helped you win in a bunch of other shit, right? So really, it's fuel to help you win in a bunch of other shit. But in the scheme of life, but in that one snapshot of time, that's a failure in that specific area. And only because you quit. Just like my wife, she chose to quit, and that is why she never made it. She never failed. She was still number one when she left. You know what I mean? But at the same time, she chose to quit, or she could have been a pro. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just that. I mean, they're
in
the same skill.
I could have been the shortest dominating center in NBA history. Unheard of. You should be a point guard. Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, and I would have been a producer for the last 10 years.
Exactly.
Exactly. I have been a producer, but I would have
man, now we're on we're on a topic now. I would
have been a producer in the industry. Well, I've already done industry stuff, but like a consistent mainstay, a staple person who's on all the albums for the last 10 years. If I had stuck with it and never quit, there's not without it. You were on stage with Snoop Dogg, Daz Rupp, Superfly, DJ, Battle, all these guys.
Oh, you have no idea.
Ice Cube. I'm like on stage. I'm like the bottom line is, and then if I would have been going, I would have been the last 10 years on all the albums, you know. And it's only because I chose to not.
This is so extremely important. Like, I can't watch a game now thinking about, man, I like picturing my homie in the stands, like, and then I see a guy, then his last name is Jackson on the back of his shirt, and I just got to turn that shit off right then and there, because I'll start my imagination. Oh fuck, that could have been me making that dunk, and just pointing to the homies in the crowd,
And then regret.
The parties afterwards and shit. And motherfucker, I'm the NBA player. I'm the homie that's fucking plays in the NBA.
And then when you watch this stuff, when you
I'm
watch
still that.
When you watch,
you know what's funny? I'm still that guy.
When you
in my
watch
head.
that stuff, that's why it all becomes regret. As soon as you start watching it, it starts to seep in. Like, God damn it! If I would have only, you know.
Yeah. I start making up stuff to make me feel good about it. Like, ooh, I'm picturing me like the homies in the thing, and we're kicking it afterwards, and just how much fun it would be. You know, I just imagine it and say, fuck it. I don't look at it as a downer. I imagine those emotions, and that's what I try and because I automatically go there anyways. It's never a negative thing.
And you look for that.
I use it as a tool to push good feeling emotions of picturing what it would be like if that would have turned out.
You look for that emotion in other things. How do I get that emotion from doing other things that I won't quit, right?
True. But I use that as a tool just to blast some stuff in that moment.
That's cool. Like again, failure, I think the title of this podcast would be Failure is a Choice. You know,
yes, it is.
You choose to fail. You don't fail because you suck.
It's really tough because I made the choice to fail. But then at the same time, I wouldn't have my daughter. We wouldn't have these podcasts. I mean, we could say all kinds of stuff, right? You know, I wouldn't, I might have 10 daughters. You never know. You know what I mean? You never know. Shoot. Man. But I know it would have been great. But I'm still great. Oh man. This is amazing.
But it's as simple as that.
We got momentum there.
Failure is a choice. I mean,
failure is a choice. You're the only one that can make that decision. So pay attention of the people around you, what they're trying to tell you you can't do.
If you ever follow like David Goggins, he's like an old Navy SEAL, right? And he talks about like everything he explains. I mean, he was more of a physical guy, right? He started out 300 pounds, got down 100 and some miles to even get into SEALs, and he ran 15 miles or some shit like that on broken legs. He had to duct tape his legs together under his socks to keep them in place, and had to run with the Navy SEALs to win that shit. He had fluid-filled lungs, and in his mind, he did not make the choice to quit. Ran on broken legs. Was running in this mountain thing and like getting loose toes because of frostbite. Couldn't feel his legs. And said, you know what? I'll probably have some toes cut off. Fuck it. But chose not to fail. And he got lucky. He saved his toes and everything. But at the same thing, he chooses not to fail. You know what I mean?
Failure is definitely a choice, just like success.
And again, if you choose not to fail, you're going to be successful. So that's again, David Goggins could have said all the excuses, like everybody says, demographics, my life sucked, I was broke as a kid, my parents, where I live, where I grew up. And like the David Goggins guy, broken legs, he runs on them, and he could have easily said, you know what, I never felt like a failure. My legs are broken. I had to quit the Navy SEALs training, and I didn't make it to Navy SEALs, but I broke my legs. What do you want me to do? And still felt good about himself, but says no. Failure is a choice. I'm going to fucking head for it. So again, it's a choice. He could have easily got out, felt so good about himself, like he never failed. He broke his legs. Still,
Did he still become a SEAL after that?
He still became a SEAL. In fact, he had to do Hell Week multiple times because he went out because he was so sick one time. They pulled him out and they made him start Hell Week over again to do all that under the water, holding the log, running, holding boats, and all this crazy training. He had to do the training 3 fucking times. So that crazy Navy SEAL training where people have to get through 3 times. 3 times, dude. And then he ran 100-mile marathons where you have to run 100 miles in 24 hours. So he is continually running for 100 hours, and he did those, the ultra marathons. 100 miles, bro. You're running for 100 miles. You ran and you don't stop for 24 fucking hours. And he just started doing them all the time. 100-mile marathons. And he would do them on the weekend. Every weekend for fucking 13 weekends or 8 weekends straight. So he did 800 miles in 8 weekends and still went to work on Mondays. Is that not fucking nuts? And just never quit. Never just says, no, man, I'm not going to quit. And he came from a crazy childhood. You know, his dad was an old gangbanger, knew Rick James and all that from Buffalo, New York. Like, living in fucking poverty in an $8 a month house, like, as crazy as that is, like, just full on. You look this guy up, he's just the example of, like, what it's like to just mentally tell yourself to keep going and keep going. And it was more from a physical aspect, but at the same time, that's your mindset saying, I'm just going to keep going, you know, nonstop. Crazy shit. You know, crazy shit. Broken knees, broken feet, duct tape them together and just keep doing it. Broken.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's knowing exactly what you want. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, failure is a choice. That's the crazy thing. So again, in 2021, get out there, fail at something, but just don't quit, and then you'll win. You just don't quit and you win.
Do not quit.
And you'll win. You know? It's a big thing, and for me, it's been kind of my motto the last 7 months. I don't know how to learn Spanish, but I'm going to get a book. I'm going to suck at it for a long time. It's going to be frustrating. But I know if I don't quit, I'm going to come out on the other end knowing a new language. It's as crazy as that is. I thought about, like, paralleling immigrants from whether it's Russian, Cuban, Mexican, Irish, whatever it is, and their journey of uncertainty, and they could have stayed comfortable in their countries of just being poor, but whatever it is, and just living and just check to check or whatever the meal to meal. But instead they say, you know, I want more. I want the American dream. I'm gonna endure the breaking the law, getting into a country I'm not allowed in because I don't follow that process. I'm going to go through sewage systems and through deserts and in coyote things and hide and be in rafts with thousands of people puking and shitting on each other and just get there. Then when I get there, I'm not even going to know the language. I'm going to learn the language. I'm going to get a job even before I learn the language so I can feed my family and still fucking succeed. And that's why a lot of the immigrants come in and you see them, how the hell are these guys immigrants? They started stores and got all this other shit. You're like, because they had the goal to go into the risk and uncertainty. It's the same thing with the entrepreneurial journey, right? You go into something, you take the risk, you figure it out. And you could have easily been comfortable, kept your job at Lowe's and just got the checks and slowly built up the 401k, retired, started doing your garden at 52, 60, whatever the hell the age is, 65, and did that. But instead, I'm going to go with the uncertainty and that thing. And that's the same thing like the immigrant's journey. These guys come to this country not knowing any language, yet they can get a job, feed themselves and their family. And the journey they had to go into the unfucking marked territory. We don't know where I'm at. I don't know any of the people, out of their comfort zone and have to succeed. They could have stayed in their country and just did what everybody else is doing. Yet they chose to forego the comforts, figure it out in the uncertainty, get here, work, build a family, and win. You think about my aunt. immigrant. My Uncle Chone, immigrant. Their 6th kid, Angel, now has a fucking over $15 million freaking landscaping company with cranes and fucking tractors. He's got like 50 pieces of equipment. I'm talking, he's the number one company, wins number one company every year. Started out with a lawnmower in the fucking back of the truck, just a kid out of high school. $15 million, if not more. You know what I mean? And you think about that kind of stuff, man, and it's like these people chose to take a risk, get here, work, figure out how to make enough money, have these kids, teach them the same ideals. One of those kids goes out, and now everybody from that whole family, the dad, everybody works for Angel. He's bringing them, all their families everybody's buying a house based off of the jobs that one of the brothers created to where everybody could eat, It's like me starting a job, and I can pay you a great amount to where you can actually have your home and everything you need, and then pay Roberto, and then pay my cousin Jim, and then Kevin and Kyle, and like next thing you know, I'm hiring all of ENIAC. You know what I mean? Like creating that job based off of something I came up with. But there's something to be said about the risk and the uncertainty and foregoing the comfort of living a regular life, accepting a check and just beating the drum. I get up, I go to work. When I'm done, they give me my days off, and we keep doing that till I'm dead. And the immigrant's journey is like that. And then their uncertainty and not knowing the language has to be inspirational. But country didn't know the language, figured out how to work for somebody. You didn't even know how to tell them or do the interview. Imagine doing an interview and not knowing the language. Could you go to Portugal, figure out how to speak Portuguese, and get a job there? No, right? These people have to do it every time. They still find work, do that, feed their family, figure that out, grow. Some of them start businesses. Who knows, right? There's something to be said about being able to go, I might fail and fall on my face, but fuck it, let's go for it. And that immigrant's journey is much like that. It's like uncertain as fuck. It's sketchy. It's seedy. You're like, I'm going through sewage systems. I'm hiding in cars. They're hot. I could die at any point in time, and a lot of people do. I'm in rafts going from Cuba to freaking Florida. All these crazy situations, right? Get there, and I'm going to find work, get a home, get all my shit together, and I'm going to win. And they do because they don't quit. It's crazy as fuck, man. And a lot of times it's funny, like I was thinking about how I tease Berto because he says the word cheese wrong when he should be the one. This is how messed up our mindset is about that. Actually, this fool, you're messing with him on one word of the second language he knows, and you're a person judging when you only know one language. This is this person's second language, and they messed up one word. They know a whole language minus one word they can't pronounce perfectly. And you're the one word or one language knowing person judging that person based off of one word in their second language. They're ahead of you, fool. You can't judge them. You know what I mean? It'd be like freaking Charles Barkley judging Michael Jordan, saying, "Yeah, you only got 8 rings or however many rings he's got." You know what I mean? It's like, or 6 rings, whatever. And it's like, well, how many rings do you have? You know what I mean? Like it's like, what are you talking about? So in that I started to really think out like the journey, man. And it's like just the not quitting, being able to risk something and go through that. And that's kind of like my mindset for 2021 and really seeing what this car I built in 2020 can do. You know what I mean? What does that look like? I don't know, but I'm going to go through the process. We got a fucking podcast that already had 2 guests on it. That's a pretty big deal.
2021.
Yeah. What does that look like? You know what I mean?
Thank you for those tuning in.
Yeah. All right, guys. So like, comment, subscribe. We will be moving to a new channel that's built. I got to do some testing. I'm finally just finished with some shit I was doing where we'll be moving on to a new platform. I'll do a podcast and have all that in the actual links. So we'll probably do another podcast on this in the description, we'll have like the link to the new site. If you're even subscribed, we don't have a shitload of subscribers, so it's not going to be a big thing. But some people,
I'd like that to be done.
Yeah. So
really start pushing it and stuff.
Yeah, all those are already built. The emails, the YouTube channel is already built. That's already done. So it's as simple as logging out of this, logging into the other YouTube channel, and we're on a whole new channel, all formatted with the Frequency Control Show. It's that time. I had a lot of stuff happening, so that's all done. So here we go, So 2021, gonna have a new channel.
Figure out what you go quit.
Yeah. Failure is an option and a choice.
Like I will say again, I'd like to emphasize something that Robert said too. We've talked about is search out those failures, man, because without those, success is you have to fail in order to succeed.
Yeah.
Not that you can succeed without failures, but failures helps you succeed. Seek them out.
You're gonna fail. Failures are part of the success. Part of the success process is failures. Will has failed. I have failed umpteen amount of times. We will meet success with failures. Nobody goes through it and jumps in, wins the whole time and has it. That's like saying Kobe Bryant went and every shot landed and he won every game and won every fucking championship. No. So you're gonna fail. So if you want success, you have to fail. It's part of that process. The success journey has failure all over it. Don't stop and quit or you'll end at failure. Look, if you move past failure, you get to success.
Yes. Until next time, folks.
All right. See you guys. Again,
Hey.
like, comment.